Hey everybody, this is episode 16 of Tandem Podcast. I'm always trying to think of people that aren't necessarily scooter riders but are in the scooter industry because it's a unique perspective. And up until now, every single person that's been on this podcast is a scooter rider. And for this episode, this person isn't a scooter rider, but he's so deeply involved in the scooter community and always has been that he might be more involved than a lot of the average scooter riders, and that person is Jonny Verduci. He is one of the owners of Heligrip, and he is also a scooter filmer. And so people have known about him probably in the public eye since Heligrip has started, because he's sort of been the face of the company, like in the videos and stuff like that. But what a lot of people don't really know is he's been around since the early 2000s, in the days of Razor being the only sponsor, and he was an integral role in getting Addison Mcnaughton on Team Razor. They grew up together, and Jonny filmed him along with all their childhood friends skating and scootering and BMXing and stuff like that. So I thought it was an interesting perspective. Later on in the interview, I found out just how truly passionate he is about scootering, and it was really, really inspiring for me. So as always, be sure to follow along in the show notes or look at them after the show, because usually all of what we talked about I link to, and it gives a lot of context, and there's a lot of videos you haven't seen that you probably should see. So enjoy. Here's Jonny. So how did you get the nickname 2B?
Oh, man. All right. Off top. All right. So, man, we were like freshmen in high school, and we were filming the first Overshow video. I think we were filming the first Overshow video, or we probably didn't even realize we were filming the first Overshow video. And we were doing jackass stuff. We were really into climbing up trees and jumping into bushes and getting the footage. And I climbed up a tree, and one of the homies was like, yeah, like, it's all good, like, hop on in. And because I was sketched out when I was up there, and I was like, oh, are you sure? And you could hear all this in the footage. And he's like, yeah, it's good. So I jump in, and there was a branch just straight up, and I just sat on it. And instantly my face goes white, and I just scream like a little girl, because I probably hadn't hit puberty yet. So you still have, my voice sounded different, and I just scream like bloody murder, and instantly I knew something was wrong. And I hop out of the bush, and I'm like, dude, it got me. And there was a hole in my pants. Everyone is dying of laughter, like rolling on the ground. They're still filming and everything. And I pulled down my pants, and I'm like, look in there. And of course, like, a bunch of like 14-year-old boys, and one of them's pulling out his pants, like, look at my butthole, like, very awkward. But I was bleeding, and everyone's like, you're bleeding, and I'm like, oh my god, like, in your mind, it's like, oh my god, it went up there or something. I'm wow, and got home, showed my mom. She's like, what are you talking about? And then shortly after, we realized it was like a gash, like, probably right next to my cornhole. There was like a deep gash, probably like an inch long, and probably like maybe even an inch deep, where the stick had just got me. And then later that night, or maybe it was the next night, I went to a football game, like a local high school game, that we would go there and hang out, meet friends, whatever. And everyone had heard, and I was walking like a duck, like walking with my legs out, because if my butt cheeks rubbed together, it hurt like bloody hell, because there was this gash like in the inside of my cheek. And homies were like kicking me and stuff in the butt, just messing around. And I don't know how, but somebody said, oh, you have two buttholes. And that turned into 2B shortly. Like, I kind of feel like I just embraced it instead of like letting it get to me. I was like, yeah, I have two buttholes. And like, that's the best way to do stuff when you're a kid, is like, if someone's gonna make fun of you, just take it in and be like, yeah, no, I do. And then that just kind of stuck, because I was like, yeah, I'm 2B. And then I would run around saying the joke like that was the name God gave me, and like, You know, Jonny was just the name they gave to me, but that one I actually earned or whatever. And it became like a urban myth in our local town about me hopping out this bush. The bush is still there. We've gone back and looked at it and everything. Because it was next to a skate spot that we would skate. Like first curb, I grinded on a scooter, which is also crazy because me and Addie both had scooters at one point. And like, yes, it was like in this parking lot where we like down the street from where we grew up, and it's still there today.
You're pretty lucky. I mean, that could have been like, man, that could have gotten you way worse than it did.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It could have actually gone up there, and it would have probably caused like some real damage. Like,
yeah, seriously.
Yeah, when like it was in the video, our first Overshow video. I think there's a whole segment. We did it where it's me sleeping and I wake up and I run and cut down the bush with an axe. And it's a whole like 10-minute long video. It's pretty funny. It got taken off the internet, but you know.
So you mentioned like grinding curbs with Addison. So I mean, my next question was going to be like, what was it like growing up with Addison when Razor was the only sponsorship in scootering?
Well, I mean, me and Addie have known each other since kindergarten. So, you know, it was like tag and video games and like all that kind of stuff as little kids. And then like I started skating, and Addie had a skateboard, but he wasn't super into it. And then the scooters come out, and he instantly was just like, oh, this is for me. And he got one and just started doing tricks, and all of us were just like, okay, like he can hang. Like he you know, push right with us after school and go start grinding stuff. And we didn't even think about sponsorship for the longest time. Not even like the skateboard homies were really ever going for it up until I would say maybe sophomore, junior year was like, oh, okay, you get sponsored. And then even with Addie, it still didn't seem like a thing because the internet was just starting to pop off, especially in scootering. We just started seeing like Terry Price or Cody Donovan or whatever, and it was like, oh shit, there's other people. Or actually even before that, it was Josh and Ricky. You know, we saw Josh and Ricky, and it was like, damn, these dudes like in SoCal, okay. And then it wasn't till after high school that we went to LA, and everything kind of popped off. I think Addie might have gone to a contest before that with his dad. And I think that's the first time he had met anybody else. Like, up until then, we would think things he did were first. MBD, oh shit, Addie grinded a rail. Like, when he board slid a handrail, I remember all of us being like, oh, that's never been done. That's that. Like, this dude's the greatest street rider.
It could have never been done at that point,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And to us, it was like, this dude is doing something that no one else is doing right now. And then, of course, he found people, and he was like, no, there's other people, guys. Like, it's not just me. I mean, still to today, like, when people ask, I still put Addie, like, number one, because when you watch somebody do things that you don't think are possible, and you've never seen anything else, like, there's no... Jay can do whatever, and it doesn't make me feel the same way as it did when I saw Addie do the first thing ever. You know, it's like...
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, like... It's the whole Wallenberg thing. It comes back to that in a weird way. It's like, it doesn't matter who does what after that, because him doing it that time, or the 2 days it took him, was still the most, like, amazing thing I've ever seen anyone do, especially one of my friends.
Yeah, that was extremely significant.
Yeah, and like that was, like, I think a real turning point for all of us, you know. Just seeing him do that was like, wow. But the Razor days were interesting, you know? I mean, we did whatever they would say because, like you said, there was only Razor. So they say wear a helmet. You're going to wear a fucking helmet because there is no other option. And Addie never wanted to do any of that shit. He was for years telling him, like, look, like, this isn't how videos look. Like, what I'm watching at home does not match up with what we're doing. And, you know, like, I think they were just going through the ropes of, like, the popularity of that toy and what they saw as a toy, you know, and they've definitely become like a toy company. They're not even really involved, I don't think, in our industry anymore.
I don't think so. No.
But it was quite the learning experience, being involved with all of that. I mean, I was there when Addy got put on, and that definitely was not what we thought was going to happen that day. Like, it was no like, oh, we're going to go to LA and they're going to put Addy on Razor. That was like probably one of the coolest things I've witnessed as well, is Ollie bringing us in the room. And he actually, that day, I think he played us a sponsor me tape for Hail Mary. But at that point, we didn't know who that kid was. You know, he was still a little kid and shit. And, like, it was just weird seeing, like, Scootering.
Like you kind of said, like, Razor was the only team. It's not like today where there's so many teams that there's a lot of opportunities for people. So, I don't know. I always got the sense that it was like Razor was, like, the absolute most elite scooter riders, you know? And there were other people that had the same ability, but there just wasn't room for anybody because it's like there's only one sponsor at that point.
To be honest, Josh, like, I can't toot anyone's horn more in that time period. Josh was the best. He was just amazing to watch at a skate park. He looked like a BMXer, and at that time, like, if you rode skate parks and you were into scootering, you kind of looked a little bit more BMX-ish. And Josh just, he could do things, and you were just taken back by him. And same with Ricky. Ricky has one of the best tail whips still. You know, he does, like, a no-footer. He would, like, pop and spread his legs, and the scooter would spin in between, and it was just amazing. All those guys, like, I mean, even Ali, like, the first tail whip and all that, like, I think is credited to Ali off that loading dock. It was just, like, holy shit, these guys are, like, taking it serious.
Do you feel like you were the one of the reasons for Addison getting on because you were filming him and, like, maybe showing him around the spots?
Addy's ability. I don't want to say if I wasn't around. Like, I think if the Overshow as a whole didn't exist, none of that really would have happened. You know, he might have done something different. But I definitely think the reason Razor was interested is that he had footage. You know, there was clips to be seen. And those guys, I think, were into street, but just hadn't branched out. And Addy was, like, the only guy, I guess, at that point in time really riding street heavily. I mean, he still did a lot of park tricks at that point in time because you just did, you know? I don't know, like, there wasn't a line drawn like there is now. That's kind of what bums me out about now is, like, this invisible line people want to make between park and street. That's not, like, a real thing to me. Like, I think Addy should be credited with the first no-handed tail whip. Not like a tail whip no-hander, but he would pinch the bars, fly out, and do a tail whip at the same time with no hands. And I still haven't seen anyone really do that. Like, his park game was good back then, but his street game was even so much higher that they were, I think, just intrigued by that.
Yeah, that trick seems like he also could have had two buttholes from doing it. Like, the bars just, oh gosh.
Yeah. He had a bunch of things. I mean, leg sweeps. He was the first person I've ever seen do a leg sweep. Like, back then, no one was putting the bars underneath him. Once again, could easily have cornholed himself there. All that time period still to me seems like the most special because it just was, like, new and fresh, and you hadn't seen any of it, and it wasn't saturated yet.
So you briefly mentioned it, but what is the Overshow for people who don't know?
Everything and anything. It was kind of just like a variety show, you know? Like, a majority of us skated, but I had a lot of friends who were into music or skits, you know, comedy bits and stuff. And we would just film everything. And I mean, at that point in time, like, we'd seen CKY, Jackass had just come out. Before even that, we were really into Tom Green. And that style of comedy where it was like extreme sports comedy. You know, it was like you could go out in the streets and act a fool and film it, and no one was really doing it yet, especially locally. And we got really into it, and I would just carry a camera in my backpack, and we would just film everything after school. or even at school and get in trouble. And then we one day decided let's there was no YouTube. There was no way of putting out footage. So it's like, all right, we got to make a movie. And to us, it was like, that's what you do. You make a movie. And we did that and just kept doing it. It's a weird one. Like, I've never really known how to answer, what is the Overshow?
Well, because I thought it was really unique because you guys made a lot of full-length videos, and a lot of those videos were a variety of different action sports.
Yeah, because like my buddies that played football in high school, they all snowboarded, and they really respected us when we were skating, and they're like, oh, we snowboard, you should come up and film. And then I became friends with them, filmed snowboarding. Same with wakeboarding. Same guys actually that snowboarded, wakeboarded. So I'd go out and film them wakeboard. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like, throw me on the back of a boat. Okay, I guess I'll film this,
yeah.
you know? And same with snowboarding. Like, I even lived in Tahoe right out of high school because I was going to film a snowboard video. And I realized real quickly, no, I'm not doing that. This is horrible. Like, the lens would get wet and like foggy, and it was just like, no, this is not for me. But yeah, that was my favorite part too, was that like BMX, scooter, skate, snowboard, wakeboard, whatever, we're going to film it all, and we're going to make montages, or if you have enough footage, you'll get your own part, and we're just going to make this like collage of a video. And in between that, we're going to do the dumbest shit possible. It was just about fun. At the end of the day, it was fun. I miss it. I really do.
When and with who did you decide to start Hella Grip?
Like, we'd done the last Overshow video. It was a big deal, but I could tell at that point it was ending. Everyone was growing up. People were, starting to get ready to get married and shit like that. And I was like, all right, this isn't going to go much longer. And everyone, like family-wise and stuff, would tell me, hey, you're really good at doing all of this, but you need a product. You can't just do videos. It isn't going to go anywhere for you making these long videos and promoting them without something to actually buy. And I really thought about that for a long time. And Addy was still doing the Razor thing, but he was kind of starting to fizzle. And I at that point, grip tape had just started really taking off in skateboarding. Like, I think Shake Junk had just come out. I'm a big Baker boy, so of course, when that came out, I was like, oh wow, this is cool. And I think Mob had just started like printing graphics on grip tape, and stuff like that was really starting to take off. And I took note of it, and I was like, I could easily do that just with a can of spray paint, whatever. And the scooter industry, Proto was really making waves. There was a bunch of brands starting to pop off in scootering, and it seemed like, there's a business to be had here. And I knew Addy was going to be my in to meeting actual professionals. Where with skateboarding, I didn't really have a friend who was on such a high pedestal that it was like, oh, we could start a skateboard brand and be relevant really quickly. So I kind of pitched it to Addy, and I was like, hey, this would be really cool. And he, of course, was like, yeah, that would be, because Addy's just down with whatever. And he was just like, yeah, that would be cool. And I already had the name in my mind, because Hella is, I guess comes from the Bay. And I say it all the time. So I was like, oh, Hella Grip. And it just instantly, I don't even know, just instantly was already in my head. Addy loved it. We told BK about it, because he was kind of the business side of the Overshow and was like the most serious about all that. And he would just come back from college as well. And we kind of told him, and BK's first thing was like, all right, like, we need to take a year, really think about it, come up with a business strategy, and do it the real way. Like, let's like go through the paperwork. Let's like actually do it. It's like, all right. So in about 2011, the three of us had sat down and decided that we were going to do it, but we needed about a year to get money and paperwork straightened out and everything handled. And then it came up to the logo. Because that's kind of the biggest key element, in my opinion, is the sloth itself. And it's all credited to Addy and BK. I'd come up with a name, and I was fine with just the name. And I'd kind of been like, all right, we want it baseball text style, which is kind of what it still is, with the line underneath it. And they were real big on a logo. And we thought we needed something iconic, kind of like you have Independent or Spitfire. They have these really iconic logos that have gone through time with skateboarding, and they're still the same logo. They don't really have, they switch it up, but they don't really have to. They'll make sales for forever with just the Indy logo and the Spitfire logo. And we wanted to have something as iconic as that for Scootering. Like Addy said something about like what's grippy or something about grip, and it became like, oh, a sloth that like grips onto a tree. And he literally just did this motion with the hand up and hanging, like originally hanging, and with his arm. And it was like, yeah, that's it. And we pitched it to BK's buddy, who was a graphic designer, and it just started, the ball started rolling. And I think we went through a whole list of different logos. Originally, the sloth was a full body and everything with legs, and it was like, nah, this isn't right. And at some point, we just like kind of came up with that logo, and it was like, oh, that's perfect, and that was that.
What is the main goal of Heligrip? Like, what do you guys want to accomplish with it?
Yeah, I think that the number one objective, though, is for me personally, is to make a business to last and work at for forever. Like that's a personal goal, but I think the business as a whole, our goal is to be different and show the fun still in scootering or extreme sports as a whole. It seems so serious when we were getting involved with it and everything. Like, you had Mad Gear, Razor, really had the control of the whole entire industry when we first were coming out. And it was like, all right, we got to set this off a little bit and be different. You know, that was really our big mission statement originally, was like, let's be different. And not really like the homie thing. That's a big key element, is we didn't want to call it a team. Addy was so sick of being on teams, and there was like, to him, I think there was this these rules that applied to being on a team, and he didn't want to have any of that. And I kind of agreed. It was like, we're just homies, and that still continues today with us. And the way we promote it is like, it's more than a team, we're friends. And I think we really like to play off the family vibe of like, we're just a group of guys hanging out, and sometimes we get a video done or whatever. At least originally. Now I feel like it's grown to a point where it's like, there's guys on the squad that I haven't really even talked to. and that's really been, especially this last year, a key difference of the years past is, I think, adding like Nathan and Dylan Morrison was like a really good idea, because we wanted to get international play. But at the same time, it's like, well, we don't really know these guys. And it was a hard time for us to like realize like, we got to expand our horizon and add people that we don't know. But are still brothers. It's still brothers. You know, I actually talked to Nathan the other night for a long time. When you're running a business, you know, you realize really quickly there's so much to do. I didn't know that going into it. I thought like I was going to be traveling and having fun and like what you see in the videos. And then when you really start it, you realize like, no, that's not going to be what I'm doing. I'm going to be sitting on a Friday night packing sticker packs, watching the Ninja Turtles, you know, and that was my Friday night last night. So
what were some hurdles at the start of Heligrip? Like, did you have any setbacks that were kind of frustrating getting going?
Yes, 100%. The first one was the size of the grip tape. The original size of the grip tape was just the centerpiece of a deck, and that was because Addy had measured his deck, and it was a whole long debacle. At the end of the day, you know, it's no one's fault, but we'd bought a lot of grip tape, and it was really tiny, and people liked it, but I think we're like, what the hell is this? Oh man, I have one. Yeah, I got one right here. It's like the littlest guy. It's got to be like 4 wide and maybe 12 inches long.
12 inches long?
Yeah, it might be about a foot. Like, it was really, really tiny. We based it around what I think it was the district. Oh man, it's sitting right over here too. I forget what district deck this is, but it was all based around this deck. I got it in the office with a district V2.
Oh, did he like measure it so you wouldn't like grip over the dropouts in the front?
Yeah.
Okay.
No brake. The dropouts in the back and the front, like it was just from the brake to the front of the head tube. And that was the first big mistake. We quickly learned from that, like, oh shit, no, we gotta go the full length of the deck from the top of the head tube all the way past the brake. And then we added a little extra. We're like, all right, we're gonna add a little extra. And that was the first major setback. Other than that, I to be honest, like paperwork stuff, like there might have been some setbacks, like logistically, but like I don't really remember much of that kind of stuff. To be honest, like the three of us, well, actually there's the four of us. It's Addy, his twin brother, Austin, BK, and myself. On paperwork, it's only the three of us, but Austin does a lot. He's designed our grips, designed a lot of stuff over the years for us, logo-wise as well. But yeah, like BK really handles all the logistics with paperwork and any of that kind of stuff. It fills us in on it, but like if there is something that comes up, sometimes I don't even really know about it. I really just do team stuff and advertisements and social media, which I hate. I never had a Facebook. I never personally had a Facebook, or an Instagram didn't even exist. And the only reason I really do social media now is because of Heligrip. I'm not like a huge person on posting photos of myself or putting myself out there. I'm not really into any of that. Social media kind of sucks, but it's necessary when you're running a business, and I became the sucker who was going to have to do it.
Well, that might be too sort of like a generational thing too. Like I remember also growing up, and at least within like skating or scootering or whatever, like it wasn't cool to promote yourself.
Yeah.
Like you had to like have other people do it, just let your writing speak. And now it's like just totally fine to promote yourself like every single day online. So it's a big shift.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. Like now everybody posts on their own social media instead of giving it to their team. I get it, because now it's like I could be my own company. But it kind of sucks because you lose that group mentality, and I think you're stronger as a unit than you are separate, personally.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
My favorite skate videos aren't because there's one part in it that I enjoy. It's because I like it from beginning to end. And I think we're starting to lose that as a society, not just in extreme sports, but as a whole.
So like over the years, and like many years, Heligrip has released videos that have contributed a lot to scootering, like these like historical videos. I think
yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you guys have released so many like montages and stuff like that, and those are really important, especially now when they're so rare. So what is the importance that you guys place on videos like that?
Addy and BK both have degrees in filmmaking. BK runs a film company. That's what he does. That's his day job. And Addy works at a production house in San Francisco. I grew up my whole life filming. Kind of got the two of them into it. So to us, filmmaking or making videos is what we've always done. Like that's our background. So when it came to Heligrip, the product was secondary to making cool videos and making cool advertisements or whatever. I think we wanted to see the style of videos that we like. We kind of have a weird aesthetic of liking videos that are kind of upbeat and fun, and also at the same time edgy, I guess. Like we have no problem throwing a crazy homeless person in our stuff or whatever. I think it's because we grew up watching Baker. That plays a key element, I think, in the Heligrip aesthetic, especially in the early days. Hellebro Tell Us Stoked, obviously the credits is like, I don't want to say we swooped it from them because that sounds messed up, but we were definitely paying like homage to Baker with that credits. Like we love that style of filmmaking, and we wanted to show Scootering that. The importance of it to me is that right now in the industry, we have so much junk going on that somebody needs to still make the traditional style of extreme sports videos. And with like hella good stuff, for instance, because that's a big one for us. The boys originally wanted to just put that on the internet. And I just started kicking it with the Concrete Crew. And I had filmed a lot of Jake, and I knew he was going to give it to them for that video. And in my mind, I'm like, well, then if you're going to give my footage to this video, and I know there's no payout, we should really make sure this video comes out good and is promoted correctly. And just going on the internet, to me, is kind of lame. Like, I don't think that that's the way it should be done. And I guess it's because I'm old and I'm used to going to premieres and buying a hard copy, but I wanted to have them have that experience, all of them. Especially like Anton, who's putting in so many hours filming behind the camera and behind the computer. It's like, dude, you need to have that night where it's like, wow, this is for me, you know? And putting it on the internet, like on YouTube, what, you sit there in front of a computer and watch the numbers go up? Like, that's not the same. Like, let's make a show out of it. And yeah, like, I want to do more of that. Like, when you say that to me, it's like, nah, we haven't done shit, man. Like, this past year, yeah, like Zach's video came out, and yeah, that was great, and like I really enjoyed it. But we haven't had a montage yet this year, so I'm a little disappointed. I want to do like 3 of them a year, you know? Like, if we could do 3 trips a year and put out a trip video or whatever, that would be the shit. So,
but I mean, there's things like Hella Ruthless where you have a bunch of riders. With that stuff, you're pushing past just like friends in the Bay Area. Like, these riders are coming in from all over the country and making a video, and it's like, you guys don't have to do that, but you do it, you know?
That was my birthday gift for my 30th, was Hella Ruthless. And I don't even know if the boys realized it, but my birthday had happened a week before they all flew out. I turned 30, and I told BK and Addie, like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to make a video with the guys and stuff. And I think they saw how serious I was about getting, like, I think it was like 2/3 of the team, which for a roster like us, that's a lot. In our house too, like you've been here, Dylan, like we don't live in a big place. So, but it meant the world to me to be able to have everybody here. And to be honest too, it's a lot of credit to Josh Young. Josh over the years has become one of my best friends. Like, I'm a real good friends with Josh. Out of probably the Hella Grip squad, I talk to him the most, other than like Addie and the Concrete boys. And I don't think we could have made Hella Ruthless without Josh. Like, he put in a lot of hard work on that one. He was here for 2 weeks. He filmed the whole entire thing and had it almost done editing by the time he left. He slept in the room I'm sitting in right now. He slept right here on the floor and edited a foot away from where he was sleeping. Like, and no cost, you know. Josh was happy with doing it just to come out to California and kick it at HQ. And I think it's that brotherhood that allows us to do videos like that. You know, Mckeen and Zach hop in the car down in SoCal and swoop Ralphie and Donatelli or whatever and come up here without having them drive themselves up. I think we kicked them gas fade, but without that, like, that video doesn't happen. So it's really a team effort of all of us being like, all right, we're all going to contribute to this. And I think it's a little bit easier doing it that way than it is calling everyone and being like, hey, send me a clip. I need you to send me a clip. It needs to be this quality. Make sure it's not a line, you know, or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's really hard to make. And that was how Hella Broke and Hella Stoked worked, was like calling everyone and being like, hey, can you send me like a clip if you're not busy? And I kind of hated that. I hate asking somebody to send you footage. It's a lot easier to be like, how about we fly you out here and we film something?
Well, I think it shows through in the footage a lot more with something like Hella Ruthless, where people aren't just sending in clips from where they live. It's like, oh, these guys are actually like hanging out and riding together. You know what I mean?
It really, I think, pushes the whole, they know one another. It's not like some, you know, super crew that we just wrote down on a piece of paper and here you go, industry. Here's a photo or a clip of all of us hanging out and being homies or what have you. I mean, and like, not to get it wrong too, we all argue amongst one another. You know, me and Hag almost kill each other every weekend. That ain't no joke, you know. But like, we're still brothers. Like Hag's a great example of that too. You know, Andrew, to bring him up real quick, like, no one else in the industry is gonna sponsor that guy. Like, and not to hate on him at all, but you know, there's some good reasons not to. But he's my brother. Like, he was, when we were filming Hella Bro Tell Is Stoked, at the end of the video, you hear him yell about the Overshow, and he grabs his shirt. He's like, all I need is a shirt. All I need is a shirt. He didn't even know we were making Hella Grip. I hadn't told him. And he thought we were filming for a new Overshow video. And he was so excited to be a part of the Overshow with Addie and Eric and George Justiano, because to him, they were Bay Area scootering, you know, and he was like, I get to be in a Bay Area video with these guys, like, so excited. And then, you know, Hella Bro Tell Is Stoked comes out, and I don't even remember if we told him at that point, like, oh, we're making a scooter company. And it didn't matter. He was going to be a part of it and back us up no matter what. And that's why Hag is the ultimate homie. You know, like, he'll put his body on the line for us without even knowing what we're working on. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy person talk.
It's funny that you mentioned, like, you know, you're not assembling a super crew. Like, those guys are all friends, but you kind of do have a super crew of friends. You know, you know what I mean? Like, it's like these absolute, like, you know, legends and like Mckeen and like Ralph and Donatelli. Like, just it just goes on, and it is like a super crew.
Yeah, I mean, the original lineup, like, it's God, I had it on the wall somewhere originally. Like, yeah, Addie, Ron, Swartzen, Hag. You know, I mean, just the three of those off tops. You're talking about 3 generations. Well, 2 are in the same generation, but 3 dudes from the Bay Area that are probably the 3 heaviest hitters to ever come out of here. And 2 of them, I think, kind of grew the sport as a whole in the Bay Area. I was just lucky. I was lucky to be friends with Addie. I was lucky to meet Big Ron, who to me still has one of the most unique styles in scootering ever seen. And then finding Jake, you know, like, all of that is pure luck. Meeting Hag was from some skateboard dudes who knew that I knew Addie, and were like, you know, we know this guy. Actually, you know, to put Andrew out there and just to blow his horn a little more too, Andrew was good friends with the Lurk NYC guys. They were going to college in San Francisco, and he lived with them. He lived with like some of the gnarliest skateboarders still in the industry. Like, hung out with Austin Gillette or some shit. Like, what? Hag? Like, really? But they just liked his comedy or whatever, him being Hag. And that's how I kind of met Andrew, was through a skateboard friend who was like, I know an Addie. I got this guy who's like Addie. And of course, when I met Hag, I was like, you're nothing like Addie. Come on. But yeah, like, a lot of it was pure luck. And then a lot of it is Addie knowing people in the industry. You know, Addie was good friends with Matt. Him and Matt connected on a really early level, because Addie admired Matt's riding. You did the podcast about that video with Matt. I think everyone in the industry took note of that video. And if you're Addie, you're like, finally, there's somebody doing it. And he was so excited when he saw Matt. Legitimately was like, this is the guy. And when we first met, Matt was like, all right, this guy is on the same level as us. And Matt's one of my good friends over all these years. Can't speak any highly of anyone more than Matt Mckeen. You know, he's literally one of the best. But yeah, like, the super crew thing, like, it is and it isn't, you know, like, it's so weird to talk about it, because, you know, like, Ralphie and Donatelli, Addie met them at Woodward, at the first ever Woodward camp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's how we knew Ralphie and Donatelli. Was, oh yeah, like, there's an old Overshow video with them and like Tyler Bonner and Matt Mckeen. It's got like a good amount of views on it too, and it's just them riding Woodward. It's all the footage Addie filmed of them, and he put it together. Yeah, and that's how we knew about them. Wheeland has a Set Your Goals tattoo, and those are my boys. And I heard about this kid in the scooter industry with that tattoo, and I said, oh, well, he's a homie. That's that, you know?
Yeah.
And then JD, like, we did So What, or I helped film for So What, met JD and kicked it off with him. He's one of the nicest dudes alive. And I mean, yeah, he's amazing. He's probably one of the best to ever do it. But to me, it was like, this dude's a homie. You know, like, he's just a really down-to-earth, cool guy. Loved BMX, could tail whip flat ground on a BMX bike. It was like, this dude is incredible. He's incredible. And like each guy like has a story behind them of the original roster where it was like, yeah, they're the best, sure, but they're also like our friends and great people. Like, I can't think of anyone on that original roster that we weren't like friends with and just wanted to hang out with them. More than anything, it was like, let's go on a trip with these guys. And it just so happened to be one of the heaviest hitting lists at the time. And still kind of is, you know. I still think Ralphie and Donatelli, you don't see him as much, but they're still... I mean, the other day, Ralphie posted that clip of him grinding that fence. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, man. You got to look at this clip. He's still just goddamn unbelievable when he wants to be.
Yeah.
You know, like, he could be the best if he wanted to be right now, but he just doesn't give a shit. And I love that about Ralphie. Fucking love that about that guy. It's an honor, to be honest with you, Dylan. It's an honor to be a part of Heligrip for me, because I know that there's something special. I think I realized it really when Jake took off. That was kind of the holy shit. This kid is gonna be groundbreaking, and he lived up to the hype, I think, and still is.
So what I was wondering, I've always wondered this. So what started the clickbait crew of videos, and is this just like, was it just like, I mean, obviously I could tell like that it was mocking vloggers.
This is a controversial conversation because I don't even think the crew enjoys them. Well. Well, how do I preface this? The Bay Area boys all love it because it's about them, I think, deep down. Outside of that, I don't know if anyone else watches them. We noticed we weren't getting the viewership on our videos that people like the Funks or Scooter Brad, Jack Doth, any of the dudes you can name off are getting a shit ton of viewership. And it seemed to us like, well, if we could do what they're doing, but make it actually good. Like, rewatchability at a high level, this is actually fun. Then maybe we could draw more subscribers to the Heligrip channel. And that way, when we put out a Hella Ruthless, it gets more viewership. Maybe we could get it to 100K, like fucking whatever video of Brad just yelling at a camera gets. It started off like that. We actually originally shot a vlog, a traditional style vlog, and we instantly realized this is fucking horrible. This is the worst thing ever. I do not want to walk around with a DSLR camera with a mic on top of it, trying to get the boys to say stuff, and then turning the camera around to me and being like, this is a good time, or whatever. Like, no, it seems so fake, and it's still on our YouTube channel, but it's private. I don't know if we'll ever release it. Maybe one day we will as a joke. Maybe it will be like a fake clickbait episode or something. But then I told Addie, hey man, like, we film all these Insta videos and they go on the internet and then they just die. They're there for a second. Someone sees them. Within a week, they get buried by advertisements or contest announcements or whatever. It kind of sucks. Like, there's some great footage of Jake or any of the guys that should be shown and showcased on a higher level. And it seemed like, all right, well, like, let's just put all that into a video. But we need something to make it flow and make it a little bit more appealing to a younger audience. And Addy just started filming with his iPhone. And he cut it up and started adding in all the weird clickbaity stuff that Addy adds in, you know, I don't know, our faces and all that crazy shit. And we were dying of laughter. We were like, this is hilarious. And then it came up to like, well, what should the name be? and it seemed pretty obvious what the name should be because we just want you to click on it. And then it just kind of unfolded from there.
I can't say I watch all of them, but I've watched some of them.
Addy does it all. Addy spends probably almost every night after work, once the season begins, just editing, like nonstop. He puts too much effort into it. I tell him that, you like, kids don't watch it to see, they're not picking up on the minor details that he puts in. Like, he has ongoing gags, like the cape. The cape is in almost every episode. Every episode, he makes somebody wear a cape that he digitally adds in when they hop. And I don't even know if anyone gets that ongoing joke that every time somebody hops a certain funny way, he adds on this funny cape. To me and him, it's hilarious, but we're also watching it like, damn, dude, before it even comes out, we probably watched it 10 times, for audio checks, whatever. I don't know, man. Like, I really do think they have a rewatchability, though, where I don't think a normal vlog has a rewatchability. Like, I unfortunately do keep up on a few of the vloggers. Jake gives me a lot of shit about that. But I like to watch them to know what the hell they're doing and how they're, like, getting all of this viewership. It's an interesting thing going on right now, especially if you're an older guy like myself. I was there with YouTube when it first kicked off, and it's interesting how the monetization has totally changed the whole vibe of that website. Before they did that, you didn't see people filming these styles of videos at all. And now that's all you're seeing is these vlogs. It's just bizarre, and we also live up here. We have the Braille guys. The boys have ran into them a couple of times because they're down in San Jose. And, it's really interesting because skateboarding doesn't even acknowledge them. They don't exist to skateboarding, but they do. And they are huge. They have their own warehouse here in the Bay Area, and that's not cheap. And they're pulling in cash, and the industry in skateboarding doesn't even want to acknowledge that at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an alternate universe, I mean, I know here in Ohio, they have the skate company called Revive.
Yeah, the Braille guys all ride for that.
Oh, okay, yeah, and it's like, it's just it's weird. It's almost kind of like Rob Dyrdek. Like, people who were actually real skateboarders didn't really like his skating, but then people that weren't real skateboarders liked his skating.
Rob's interesting because I loved Rob in the early days. Like, oh man, when he did that commercial with the girls chasing after him, I don't know if you remember that. It was a DC commercial back in the day. This is before Robin Big and any of that.
Yeah, well, like back when he was a skateboarder.
Yeah. And then he yeah. It's the same with Bam. Bam's the same way. Dude, Bam, when he was on Toy Machine, holy shit, that dude was the shit. Like, dropping on anything, like, it did not matter. And then, drugs and alcohol take over sometimes, and you end up becoming what he ended up. And with Rob, I just actually listened to a podcast with Rob Dyrdek. He's a real interesting fool because he just got bored with skateboarding. At some point, he realized he had topped out in the industry and kind of just was like, I got to do more. And that's I don't think I'll ever be that. I don't think I'll ever leave extreme sports. Like, I am really, really passionate about extreme sports, all of them. And that's something to me that's like, I don't really get when you're like, oh, I'm over it. That makes no sense to me. But yeah, man, the vlogging thing is really the key element, obviously, that made clickbait happen. And it was really about getting viewership on our other videos, and it is working. Like, the way we've done it, the breakdown is like we now do Raw on Thursdays and clickbait on Tuesdays, and from the analytics stats or what have you, it has definitely jumped up all of our videos by doing the clickbait, which is sad and awesome at the same time. I don't know how long we'll do them for, though, because Addy, it's killing him. It's killing him making them.
Yeah, I can imagine. So much work.
Yeah. And we still, all three of us are still working for free with Hella Grip. We haven't taken our initial money or investment out of the brand, and we haven't started a payroll with the 3 of us getting paid or the 4 of us getting paid. So it's hard when you're not getting paid, you get off work and you come home and start editing in front of a computer.
Dude, absolutely. That's how I feel about this podcast. It's like people want more than 1 episode a month, and it's like you guys don't even realize like every episode is like 20 to 30 hours of my time. You know what I mean? It's like I can't like be doing this as a part-time job. Like I can do it a little bit, but not like
Yeah, I mean, Heligrip is my second job, my second almost full-time job. I mean, it's part-time. It sucks, man. It really, it's awesome, and I still love it. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing it. But just like you said, it's like when people ask about certain things happening with Heligrip, it's like, dude, yeah, I'll get to it, but I got real work all week. And then this weekend, my mom wants me to come over and help her move stuff in her garage. Like, my time, it's hard to make time for it, but you know you have to. It's a hard thing to deal with day in, day out.
Like with most businesses, it's the slow growth, and you don't really see the growth as it's happening until you like look back a lot, you know? So, I mean, you guys, I'm sure, seem to be on a good path, you know?
Oh, I mean, dude, we could have taken our money back out years ago. Years ago. We probably could have taken it out after the first year. But then we wouldn't have been where we are now. And I think people don't really realize that. It's like, oh, you guys don't pay yourselves? Oh, that's stupid. Why don't you do that? Well, if we did, we couldn't make this or that. We couldn't fly out whoever. We couldn't do those videos like you were saying because we don't have any money because we paid ourselves out. And instead, let's try to grow the company to an even bigger level and hope one day we can take out the money and it will still be growing. And that's really the big hopes, is that keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And at some point, we'll be like, all right, it's to a point now where it's on its own 2 feet. We could take out our original investment and start to pay ourselves a little bit. And at that point, hopefully, I'll be able to work less at my day job and work more on Heligrip and give the fans or whoever more stuff to watch. And I mean, that you know, earlier when you asked me what was the kind of the mission statement, that's kind of really it, is getting out of the day job and being able to give people more of what we enjoy doing.
So you do a lot of signature graphics and colorways with different riders. So how important is that for supporting riders by giving them the opportunity? Like, what do you think that helps them do?
That's a difficult one. This year has been a hard one for our signature graphic line. And it's my own fault in a way. You know, I knew giving a graphic to Josh is going to be a difficult one because you're going to have to promote it really heavy on your end. And we let all of our riders do whatever the hell they want. So when you get a grip tape, it isn't like a, hey, you got to make a video, or hey, I need you to shoot an ad. It's like, hey, we're going to give you this graphic in the hopes maybe you'll do something. So we kind of leave the ball in their side of the court to see how they'll play with it or whatever. And the way Heligrip really works is we pay you royalty on whatever you make. So the more you push your graphic, the more you get paid. It's like you work for us and we work for you at the same time. So I kind of like let the guys do it however they want to. And that works and doesn't work, you know? Like, you know, it really depends on the rider. Like, Dan, you know, I'll throw out DB. He was the first one to get a signature graphic. DB flew out here and, like, shut it down in 2 weekends and had a full part.
Yeah, I know. Like,
but not everyone's Dan, you know? Like,
yeah. Yeah, when I saw that part, I was like, wow, he really just went all out for his SIG graphic. That's sick.
Dan can do that. Dan is a physical specimen, you know? He's able to just throw down day in, day out, and it's because of his work ethic as well as just how physically trained he really is. The dude's a beast. I don't want to put that same pressure on someone like Josh. I'll go back to Josh. It's like, Josh, you do whatever the hell you want to do, man, but we want to make sure that you know we're supporting you. And that's why you get a graphic, is because of what you've done throughout the industry from beginning to end. It isn't what you're currently doing, it's what you did from beginning to end. And that's the same with like Wheelin', for instance. It's like, I knew Tyler was done. I knew Tyler was going to be done after the summer with Tilt, and he was going to get drawn back out of the industry because Tyler goes through waves. But that doesn't matter. Like, I love Tyler, and he's a brother, and he deserves to have a graphic with Hella Grip. So whether or not he's pushing at this point in time doesn't really matter to me, because he's done his time in the industry. And that matters. Like, I don't know. Like, we're working on a big Ron graphic. And to a lot of people, that's hella dumb, because Ron hasn't written in a while. To be honest, Ron's kind of MIA altogether. Like, I haven't talked to Ron in a minute. But Ron deserves a graphic. Ron didn't get one with Razor. He should have got one with Razor a million years ago. Ron, I think, is the first African-American professional scooter rider. That's an amazing accomplishment, and I feel like his name might get forgotten if something like Hella Grip doesn't put it back out there. Give him the props he always deserved. And we're big on that kind of stuff. Same with like Josh Toy. I'd love to do something with Josh at some point. And we've talked about it over the years, like a Superman graphic that looks like the Jordan graphic, but it's Josh doing a Superman. Like, that was an idea I had years ago. But like, graphics like that for dudes who deserved it back in the day that never got it.
There wasn't the resources, you know? Like, there weren't scooter companies to give that to them.
Yeah, oh man, I mean, when Jason got that phase 2
Yeah.
scooter, I remember being like, what? Like, Razor put a name on a scooter? Like, that's crazy. And then John Racky with the dirt scooter was like, what? John got his name on a scooter? You know, so like, and both those guys deserved it, because they'd been in the industry for such a long time when you weren't getting that. And the same with like Addie and Eric. You know, Addie and Eric definitely were kind of on their way out when they even got on Urban Art and got their decks, you know, but they deserved it. Addie should have had his name on a deck a million years ago. There wasn't a place for that at the time. And then he got it way later with a different brand. And I wanted to do that for other people. I wanted to make sure my friends who deserved it got it. And these other dudes who deserve it will get it too, that normally wouldn't get it. And make sure they get a little piece of the pie. You know, for too long did I do stuff for free, like, you know, for the scooter industry, and I wanted to make sure these guys got taken care of a little bit, as much as we can help them get taken care of. Like, I wish I could give them a monthly, you know, check, and here's this, and let me fly around the world, but that's not possible at this point in time. But hey, I can do this for you right now. And that's what we try to provide for everybody. Yeah, so that was a good question, man. I don't really ever think about that, because to me, the graphic thing is something you're just supposed to do. Like, that's what we do in extreme sports, is you get your fucking name on something, and then you get a royalty. The more you sell, the more you make. And that's just how I grew up. There's a lot of stuff like that I don't really think about with Hella Grip. It just seems like it's just so natural. Especially the video questions, man. Like, I don't ever think about that. I honestly think the opposite, to be honest with you, Dylan. I think we don't do shit. Every year I'm like, fuck, the year's over and we only got out 2 videos. We lagged. Like, that's how I look at it every year.
Well, no, but really though, I think that's a good attitude to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, at minimum, like, you know, whatever, like, you can acknowledge that, you know, it's going well and that you're doing good, but like, having the attitude that you always want to do more is never a bad thing.
Yeah, you know, to be honest too, being surrounded by Bruce art is motivating, because that motherfucker, like, he's all about work and shit for the most part. He loves the party, but that fool, he's got a work ethic that's really pushed all of us, I think, over here. You know, so we've been blessed to be able to have something like that, and have someone right there that, like, push you a little bit.
That's something I was wondering about. Like, has getting distribution from TG been helpful for Hella Grip?
Getting distribution originally, we were originally with Mothership, and Kingsley talked to us, you know. Kingsley's a great guy. But it wasn't doing much. You know, it was just like, all right, cool. And then Andrew coming to us and hearing someone like Andrew believe in us and be like, hey, you guys got something special here. Like, I want to work with you guys. I think meant a lot to me and Addie, because we know what Andrew means to the industry. You know, we had a weird relationship with Andrew leading into that. And then for him to come to us and say that means the world. Like, to be honest, like it's a respect thing more than anything, because that dude was the first one to tell the controlling people of the industry to go fuck themselves. And to do that when he did that was crazy, you know, and it's still crazy. And he has changed so much. And for him to be like, hey, I believe in you guys. Like, why don't you come over here and we'll do something special together, was a no-brainer decision for us, especially where we were at that point in time. And Addie was already with boxes. You were with boxes as well, right? Yeah. And that was still going on at that point, I think. It was probably starting to end. I think Chris was pretty much over it at that point.
Yeah, it was probably like 2013, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, I think your logo had just come out when we went over there. Like no joke, I kind of remember that, like, being there and shit, right? And it was boxes. I don't even think River was out yet, maybe, or just had come out, and whatever. And it just seemed like, growing up in the Bay, I'm a huge fan of Deluxe, and you got to know that. And like, to me, that distribution and the house they have there with the brands they have is like, that's the best. I still think that to today. I will always think that that's the best distro in skateboarding is Deluxe. And I always wanted to be a part of something like that. So for Andrew to come to us and be like, hey, want to put Hella Grip under this umbrella with Proto, was like a no-brainer of, yeah, hell yeah. Oh yeah, we want to be a part of that. Andrew has really helped us out over the years, more so even in the last couple of years. And now with Jake over there, Zach, Matt comes over. It's just like, it's the family. So it's just cool to be a part of it. You know, in all honesty, and getting to work with Andrew has just been awesome over the years. Yeah, like, it's obviously helped Hella Grip. It got us in a lot more stores, put us out worldwide. And I mean, we have like their distributions in other countries and stuff, but Andrew's helped with all that as well. Yeah, it's been awesome. BK really is the one that actually talks to all of them constantly. And BK and Andrew are totally on the same page with shit. It's funny because, you know, like, I'll hear stuff from BK and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. And like, he's like, Broussard said this. It's like, all right, okay, well, that's what we're doing, or what have you. Because the two of them will discuss whatever and figure it out.
I mean, the Bay Area over the years has had many scooter trips from like large scooter companies, and I'm sure you've seen almost all of them because it's like, you know the spots, and like a lot of people stay with you and stuff like that. So can you think of any memorable stories from over the years of any of those trips? Like, just stuff that happened, or...
Well, 2015, Proto was here. It was Zach, Chema, Andrew, Matt, maybe even BK. And the Warriors won our first championship. And the boys were all here with us. And Addie was just screaming like, this is our year. And then Broussard, Stedman was with us too. Because Stedman's like sports ball, you know, like he doesn't give a fuck. Me and BK's have had season tickets to the Warriors for 8 years now or something like that. We're huge basketball fans. I actually fell in love with basketball due to skateboarding, Eric Costin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, long story short, we win. The boys are here, and we like marched out onto the streets, and we had the full like Proto team with us, you know, like celebrating the Warriors championship. And there's some like photos somewhere, like a selfie of like all of us, and it's just like the weirdest crew of pro scooter dudes celebrating the Warriors victory. I don't know. And to me, that's just hilarious on multiple levels. Because I know Broussard, Mckeen, like all of them, they don't give a fuck about basketball, you know? Like, that's not their thing. If it was hockey, Matt would be all over it, but no, like, that is not their thing at all. And that one just always stands out to me. Getting to watch, like, you, Tom K, getting to watch you two ride. I'm a huge fan of yours. You look at spots so differently than anyone else in, like, the industry. You like, are like a spot hound, and I've always respected the fuck out of that. So seeing you size up spots in the Bay has been amazing, because you're, like, East Coast legend. Tom K, man, like, same with him. It's like, you watch videos of dudes, like, Tom's Raw video where he eats shit on that down flat little down rail. I don't know, like, I don't even think it made it in the tilt video, but he gets, like, it's a big thick red rail or some shit.
Yeah.
And he gets buck on it. And I don't know if they cut the footage differently, or if he got back up and tried it again, or if it was just cut different or whatever. That clip has always really stood out to me. So getting to see someone like him ride is like, wow, this is really fucking cool, you know, because like, it's the people you don't get to see ride is always really cool. Like, most recently, Aztek being here and Michael Holman. Holy fuck. Like, I never met Mike.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I never met Mike. Meet Mike. He is quite the character. He is awesome. The fucking headphones on 24/7, right? And it's like, and he's just going buck. And he's like yelling out what song he's listening to, and then throwing bangers. And bar twist are one of my favorite tricks. You don't see them too much, and to me, the spinning of the hand like that is so crazy. Like, it's like, man, you could really eat shit doing that. And Mike just has that trick on lockdown, and it's awesome to see him do it. But, you know, and then just any hag story, you could pull one out of a hat. One that stands off tops is we went out to the bars for his birthday, and it was like all of, like, his college skateboard homies, and like me, Addy, I think Justiano was with us. Hag got so belligerent, and then he ends up getting pied in the face by some of his college buddies who somehow got a pie. And then he got ejected out of bars because he was covered in pie and could barely, like, really walk. And we had to carry his ass up the stairs into our apartment, which I don't know how that ended up. He lives literally down the street. That one stands out. Hella Ruthless, dude. Like, that whole, when you put like 12 dudes in a house together, and let's be real, the Hella Grip team likes to party, is what I'll say. And so, you know, and when you're partying, emotions sometimes get heavy, and they're playing dice, and it's just like wild. It's wild, you know, and I love it, man. Like, it's the best, to be honest. It's just watching all of them hooting and hollering at each other, drinking and shit. It's just good times.
I mean, you mention him sometimes, but you saw Jake Sorensen go from a kid named Squirrel wearing like a full cut helmet, you know, like covering his ears, to, you know, to one of like the most important riders in scootering. Do you have any stories of him over the years?
Little Bruss, man, from the minute me and Addie seen him, like, really saw him, it was like, damn, this little kid's got style, and he knows how to film a clip. He was just doing, like, he's gonna remember what this clip is, and he's gonna listen to this and be like, that's not what I fucking did, dude. But it's like, he'll whip up a ledge and then like 180 whip a gap or something. And he was filming with Kingsley, and Blake was up here because he was fucking with Lucky. I was like, wow, this kid's good, you know? Like, he lives in Livermore, like, that's only a couple towns over. And instantly was like, all right, we gotta ride with this kid more often. And dude, the first session with him, when it was just us and him, he was instantly like, wow. I think he filmed like almost all the stuff in Hella Broke, Hella Stoked. I think it's within like 2 or 3 sessions with him. It was the original kind of Hella Grip barrier crew, where it was like me, Addy, Hag, Eric, maybe George Justiano, and our photographer Morgan. And all of us were just like, this kid is great. It's undeniable. After that, it just kind of blurs, because it's just like, he got better, and better. And still today, when I see him, the next session he's gonna have something new. like it's just like he's gonna do something new, and I'm gonna be like, dude, when did you learn that? And he's gonna be, oh, whatever, on this trip or whatever the fuck, dude. And you're like, oh, okay, cool, bro. And that's just him. And it's been like, I'm really glad he waited out, getting on teams and did it all correctly. And I don't think a lot of kids in scootering do that. They like hop, skip around from sponsor to sponsor and like ride for this, then dip over here for whatever reasoning. And, you know, it's kind of lame. I like, Ron was always a big speaker on this. I'm riding and dying with Razor. He said that from day one. He called himself the New York Yankee of scootering. Literally would say that all the time about how he's going to ride and die it out. And I really respected that, because it's like, that's kind of a thing in skateboarding, loosely, is to like stay with a brand for a long period of time. A lot of my favorite skaters did. So Jake doing it properly and getting on the right brands and really putting himself in a great position is really like, it showed me a maturity level out of him too. You know, he could have easily hopped on, I'm not going to throw out names or anything, but like some, you know, lesser brand, gotten paid out, I guess, or I don't know, like that kind of shit. But he's a smart kid. He's a smart kid, man. He went from like little kid to like, he's never in town. He's never in town. And when he is, he has to work at his day job. So I don't get to see him anymore. That's how cracking Jake is like, I don't even kick it with him that often.
So since the cost of living is the highest in the Bay Area, like probably in the country, I mean, it just flip-flops from that in New York. I always wonder, because there's a huge scooter scene in the Bay Area, and I'm like, what are these guys doing? Like, how do they survive? You know what I mean?
The internet is not your friend, is the real answer to that question. And everyone get off the internet, because if you keep going on there, my rent's going to keep going up.
Because, I mean, like, all these dudes with the concrete crew, I mean, I know, like, that nobody actually lives in San Francisco.
Anton.
Oh, yeah, Anton does. Okay.
Anton does. Yeah. Actually, he's back at home right now because he's out of college. But he had a spot out there. He didn't live on campus. He had his own spot. But, yeah, no, cost of living out here is absurd. When I was in Cleveland, right, and I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I sat in my hotel room and I Googled apartments out there, and I was floored. My alone amount I paid to live here at HQ, I could have been downtown Cleveland living like a fucking king. And I was amazed. But then I realized like the job scenario out there, I'm sure, is a lot more difficult and the minimum wage is lower. So by the end of it, being a picture framer, and that's what I do professionally, I probably wouldn't be able to live in downtown Cleveland in that spot. So, I mean, you know, that's the one thing, is it like, it goes in a circle. Like, I don't know, like, it's expensive and shit, but if you work a decent job, you can afford to live, you know. And like Anton's the prime example, because he's really done it on his own, and his parents don't really help him, to my knowledge, and he works, he does DoorDash, and he's able to bust a move on that, still get his riding done, still get college done, he has a girlfriend, and get it all done and manage it all. So you could do it. You could do it. You know, he's the prime example of doing it. But yeah, it's hella difficult, and the rest of the Bay boys are still young enough to where they live at home. There is talk, though, and this might be breaking news, that the Concrete Boys are getting a spot in the city, supposedly, which I don't know how the hell they're going to afford that with all of them being still in college and shit.
Yeah, they're going to sign the lease and then be like, oh, wait, we have to get jobs too.
You know, so that supposedly is happening this fall, or maybe even sooner. I'm excited. I can't wait to go over to their house. It's going to be, me and Addie have talked about it. We are very excited for the Concrete Boys to get their own spot. And we will be going over there to hang out. So that will be cool. But Jake also lives on his own. Jake works a job. He works at Yumigo, which is like a go-kart racing place. And he's able to work enough when he's home to afford rent. But he lives in like the far out suburbs. So it's not, I think, as heavy as it is like Oakland, San Francisco. Hag works like 6 days a week. But we kind of lucked out. We lucked out, too, with our spot. You've been here. you can't get this spot now in Oakland. And we're lucky we got it when we got it. And it was still kind of a turning point, and the gentrification of Oakland hadn't been as heavy. And we were able to kind of sneak in and snag this place. And now it would be really difficult to find a place that's 7 rooms, I think we have here.
A group of my friends from Columbus, they moved out to San Francisco, and all they did was, like Postmates or DoorDash, like food delivery, and they totally survived on that. They would just go down by like Embarcadero, where all the sort of like tourist food court stuff is, like at lunchtime, and then they would just wait for orders, and then basically all they would do was deliver food to people that worked in the office buildings next to Embarcadero.
Anton drives out to like the Silicon Valley kind of area, and he does all of his door dashing out there, and like makes pretty good money doing it. Yeah, it's crazy. Like you couldn't do DoorDash and like Lyft and all that. I think is a great thing for extreme sports, because you could pick up money when you're not riding, or you can make the hours what you want, and we didn't have that when I was growing up in my early 20s and stuff. So like it's G for them to be able to do that. Like it's a smart move. Like Anton really is good about it, because I'm not hanging out with my girl, or I'm not scootering. All right, I'll pick up a few food deliveries.
The scooter scene in the Bay Area seems like, from the outside, it seems like it's absolutely thriving right now, and a lot of the people are at that age where they're like out of high school and maybe sort of getting into their early 20s, and it's sort of a rare occurrence that people scooter as consistently as it seems like everybody does in the Bay Area. What do you think that keeps everyone going? Like, is there just this like group motivation, like, all right, we're gonna ride every single weekend or something?
I think it's just a really good bond of friends. They already kind of had that prior to me even hanging out with all of them. They kind of feed off one another, and also just them kind of getting more recognized in the industry. You got all of them pretty much have a sponsor outside of Heligrip. It's a really tough question. Like I don't want to speak for all of them, but like, yeah, I think it's just growing off each other, and we have a group chat, and to me, that's what I do on the weekends. Like I got nothing else going on other than riding. So it's Saturday, it's Sunday. What are we doing, guys? Usually someone's like, oh, let's go here, let's go do this. And it's kind of natural, I don't even question it really. It just seems like that's what we do. I didn't see that coming, because to me, for years, I thought it was just Addy. And then we found Eric, and I was like, oh shit, there's another guy. And then Eric knew George, and it was like, oh wow, there's 3 of them. And then we found Ron, which Ron lives in Sacramento, but it was close enough at the time to where like, okay, there's another guy up here in NorCal. And then all of a sudden there was hella people. Feenstra too, because Feenstra was here in the Bay for a while. He lived in Danville, really close to Eric. So Eric had seen him a bunch. But even with him, it was like, oh, there's this mysterious younger scooter kid. And that turned out to be Eric Feenstra, which is crazy. But yeah, the crazy thing to me, Dylan, is early on, anyone that rode scooters that lived in the Bay was kind of a heavy hitter in the industry. And I think that's really interesting. And I don't know why that happened. Addy, Eric, and Ron all had sponsorship in the early days of scootering when people really didn't have sponsorship.
And also I know you've mentioned this a little bit, but so it seems like the Bay Area scooter scene, like it's not like they just ride together on the weekends. Like it's a true sort of family. Like they like, like birthdays and like graduations and stuff like that. It's like all a part of it. And I think that's really rare for a crew of scooter riders. Like usually they just meet up and ride. But what are all the stuff that they do, like that you guys do, like the extracurricular activities?
Ryan Myers has a board game about scootering. We play that from time.
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, I'm probably bursting a bubble here, but Ryan's been developing a board game about scooter riding, I won't give any further deets because I don't want to ruin it for Ryan. We've played that a few times. That's a weird activity, but it stands out to me as a weird activity we've done. Shit, I mean, like, everything, dude. They're just, like, the homies. Like, Anton went to opening night of Star Wars with me and BK. You know, and that's... Star Wars is, like, a big thing for us. And, you know, we had an extra ticket, and we hit up Anton, like, yo, you want to roll to Star Wars with us? He's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll be there. You know? And, like, the thing about the boys, I've even introduced all of them to, like, the old Overshow dudes. You know? And there's quite an age gap between the Overshow crew and the Concrete crew. But even the Overshow dudes have, like, accepted those guys as the homies. Like, the Concrete boys come to Camp T.O.S. That's been an ongoing thing for almost, like, 20 years now.
And what is Camp T.O.S. for people who don't know?
Camp T.O.S. is the Overshow's annual camping trip. We go up north towards Tahoe, and we camp for anywhere from like 4 to 5 days, or maybe less, depending on what your situation is. And the whole old crew pretty much gets back together for the most part, and we just hang out. There's a river, and we swim and mess around. Like, we used to film stuff while we would do that back in the Overshow days. Like, there'd be segments where we were at Camp T.O.S. Like, we got a flag and shit we hang up. Like, it's real corn dog. But we love it. And there's been a lot of, like, actual celebrity scooter dudes who've rolled through that. Whelan has been notoriously popped up at Camp TOS because he would. Josh has come to a couple of them. Feenstra. Feenstra pulled through one year. Because Feenstra lives in Reno, so he's not that far from where we go. I think it was the year Josh was there. He hit up Eric, and Eric came through.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, you know, Jake and Pat and Anton, Kevin, you know. You know, Jake's even worked at the Overshow dude's farm. They have a farm up north, and Jake's gone up and worked for them and shit. And Jake's come back and told me stories of my childhood friends and yada yada, and I'm always like, oh, okay, cool. Like, you've seen my friends more often than I have. So I think it's kind of like a brotherhood, you know? Like, we're actually friends, I guess. I know what you mean, because when I filmed skateboarding back in the day, I'd film with somebody, we'd get done, and they would get in their car and go off and hang out with their friends or whatever, and I'd get in my car and drive off and hang out with my friends. So I totally know what you mean. But with the Heligrip squad, when we're done filming for the day, we go back to HQ and hang out. You know, like that's like, I don't know, no one leaves until like late at night, or they're like, hey, can I crash here? And it's like, yeah, stay in the back room.
Yeah, I think that really comes through in the videos too. It's just so apparent that you guys are just hanging out.
Like I said earlier, like, we argue like brothers too. You know what I mean? And you definitely could catch that in Clickbait. I think the most popular episode of Clickbait is an episode where everyone's kind of fucking with Ryan a little bit, and Ryan gets real upset, and Addie has like a meter going off. It's the funniest episode ever.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, and I think that really shows our brotherhood in a weird way, because, you know, the next weekend we were all back together. There's no hard feelings. I'm probably the king of that. Like, I talk a lot of shit to the boys. Like, I'll throw out money bets on almost everything, you know, like $20 says you can't do that in this amount of tries. And then I'll just sit there yelling like, don't be a pussy or whatever. And I think it works. I think that, like, that's not for everybody. I'm not saying every rider needs a Tubi in the corner shouting at them. And I don't do it for everyone. Like, if I'm with you, I'm not going to yell at Dylan, because I know that's not how Dylan fucking works. But, like, Anton, he's going to land something and call it a day. And it's like, nah, dog, you can one-up that. You landed that too fucking easy. Get your ass back out there and throw a whip in or out. I don't want to hear an excuse. You know what I'm saying? And he'll be like, oh, fuck you, Tubi, and go out there and then do it. You know what I mean? And it's like, see, I told you, bro. You just needed to, like, add that extra thing in. Like, the other day, like, K-Kloss was trying to trick, and we were suggesting stuff, because he kind of seemed like he was doing it really, really easy, even though he hadn't landed it yet. It was like, you got that. And someone threw out, like, when you're hopping off the other thing, like, throw an op bar. And he did it the next try, and it was fucking magnificent. And it was like somebody else's suggestion, one of the other boys. And, like, after he landed it, all of us celebrated, and it was like, kind of a weird group fucking effort for Kevin to get that clip. And I think that really, once again, like, shows like how we kind of make it happen, I guess, in a way. And the other thing too, what I like to point out is that we don't really try to give away anything on Instagram. And I think that kind of helps us with our videos. You know, you were mentioning like the team mentality or whatever in the videos or what have you. But I think partially it's because, like, I post the weekend warm-ups, and it's always going to be literally warm-ups. Like, we're not going to show you anything that is even close to what's going to be actually in the video. And I think that helps with the videos, because I feel like other brands will show you, like, their Instagram feed is, like, actual heavy shit. And it's like, don't do that. Because then when you put out a video, it's, like, competing against your Insta videos.
Yeah, it's like, and then, I don't know, I think the other funny thing is, too, like, when you do release clips that are like the ones that you guys do, it's like kids are so conditioned to just seeing this crazy stuff on Instagram. They're like, what the hell is this? Like, I could do this. But it's like, no, you guys are missing the point.
Yeah. And I've noticed that more in the last couple years than the years prior. And I think that has to do with a lot of the major brands in the industry are posting like straight up bangers. And the riders, man. There's some scooter riders out there who are just giving away stuff to me that you would used to use for a real video part. And if they want to do that, hey man, it's your footage. It's totally up to you. Do it however the hell you want to do it. But it definitely, the repercussions of that affect my brand, because I don't want to do that. And now that you're doing that, it definitely makes it to where, like you said, kids are going to be like, what the fuck is this clip of Hag doing a front feeble? And this other dude over here has done like 540 over a giant box jump or something.
Yeah.
You know, and I see that, but like, you kind of got to roll with whatever your vision is. And I'm not going to change what we're doing because everybody else is like doing something else.
Yeah, that's always good to just stay true to what you believe in. You know, it's like, what's the point of even doing anything if you can't get behind it?
Right. There's some things you got to bend on, you know, like, I forget who said it, but like, there's like some quote where it's like, you got to stick to some, like, the things that really matter, you got to stick to, and the things that you're like okay with let go. If someone wants to argue that point, we'll let it go, you know? And I feel like that's kind of what clickbait is. It's like, all right, we'll give in a little bit over here, but we're still going to make these feature like videos, mid-lengths or full lengths or whatever, but we'll give up a little bit to what's going on in the whole industry as a whole, just the tiniest bit to seem like we're still, I don't know, playing ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we've been doing lately with these like Tuesdays at Tilt episodes. Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, I watched this.
I mean, there's really no harm in making them, you know what I mean? It's not like it's like sacrificing the image of Tilt, but it really gives these kids what they want, you know?
You gotta get the subscribers up, and the only way it seems to work on YouTube is constant posting on it, almost like any other social media, you know. And YouTube now seems like there's some kind of algorithm that the more you post, the more subscribers you'll probably gain. You gotta play ball, you know, because if you're gonna put out a Dylan fucking full part, you wanted to get a decent amount of views. You worked hard for it. You know, so you almost want your brand to make sure that they're still relevant in that scene, I guess, which the YouTube scene. So the brands, I feel like now almost all of them need to do these kind of corn dog weekly videos. And you're seeing it too. Like Scooter Hut has their own now news thing with that Australian kid. I don't know his name. I feel bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he hosts like a news thing. That's a smart move. This is so cornball, but I talked to Scooter Brad and I told him at last year's Street Jam, like, dude, do what you're doing with the news because no one else is goddamn doing it. The industry kind of still needs someone to do it, and if you're gonna catch slack from the middle-aged scooter rider kids, you know, let it be, because of course they're gonna be bummed. You're talking about them. It's the fucking news. If Gary Rogers let pros' opinions get to him, I think skate line would have been over years ago. I've seen him talk about, like, people get bummed with shit he says on that show. He's got to continue to do it. And if you really don't like it, do it. Do something yourself, like what you're doing with this podcast. You know what I mean? Like saying, "Oh, I wish the industry went this direction." Well, then get the fuck out there and do it. You can do it, and that's the thing I think a lot of people need to realize.
What are your future plans for yourself and for Hella Grip?
Personal future plans are to hopefully make Hella Grip my full-time job. I enjoy picture framing, but at some point you framed everything, and I'm pretty much done with doing that. And I'd really like to just be doing this full-time, and I think we're getting there. We're getting really close to that being like a possibility. You got healthcare and a bunch of shit you got to pay for nowadays, so it's difficult. That's definitely something I think all three of us would like to do at some point. And then with like the brand, like more signature products, more videos, more trips. I mean, everything across the board. There's not one department I'm like, oh yeah, we're crushing it here, And like you said, like that's a great way to look at it. Like you're never done. Extreme sports is constantly going and moving, but definitely some more mid-lengths. Make Jake get a signature grip tape. I've been hounding him on that. So I'll drop that one in here. And that's about it, dude. Have fun. That's first and foremost always, is just trying to continue to want to do it. It's hard when you're in your 30s now and you're still doing extreme sports and you're not seeing too much of a return. And that's something you deal with a lot as you get older. So, shit. Keep hopping fences.
All right, that's it for episode 16 with Jonny Verduci. Hope you enjoyed it. For next month's episode, it's going to be something pretty experimental, a lot different than what I normally do. It's going to be in the field recording, and that's all I'm really going to say because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it should be good. It should be a lot of fun to make. And as always, thanks to Ben Bursell for the graphic design and music for this episode. If you have any questions or suggestions, email thetandempod@gmail.com and subscribe to us on the iTunes Apple Podcast app. It's pretty much the easiest way to listen to podcasts, I think. Or you can listen to us on soundcloud.com/tandempod, and that's what we've been doing since the beginning. So be sure to check for the next episode on the last Friday of next month. See ya.